All right, good morning, everyone. And let's go ahead and set forth our appearances for the record. We'll start first with the plaintiff, then we'll move to the defense.
Your Honor, Will Kemp, the plaintiff.
Good morning, Your Honor. Teddy Parker on behalf of the plaintiff.
Robert Eglert on behalf of the plaintiff, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Maggie B. Federico on behalf of the plaintiffs. Good morning, Your Honor. Brianna Smith on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Fred Johnson, Tyler Watson, Michael Esposito, and Eric Freeman on behalf of the defendants.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. I think we have one issue with the panel member. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct, Your Honor. I received a text this morning from juror number 7. He sent me a text saying, "Hey, Marshall, I don't think I can attend court today. I have to look after my little sister and brother today since everyone in my house is going to be at work or at school." That was sent this morning at 8:37.
Is this the frizzy-haired guy who sleeps a lot?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, counsel, let's talk about it. Mr. Kemp?
Well, Judge, I have noticed that he seems to not be fully awake and alert at sometimes
And engaged?
and engaged. I mean, to be honest, in his defense, he was pretty engaged yesterday and the day before, but during our openings, he was like Sleepy Hollow,
Well, he's not here. I mean, ultimately, and we have to continue on, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't know what the defense thinks, but I've already said what I think.
Out of here, we got next man or woman up, right, Your Honor?
Right, I mean, I just had to inform you of that, but what do you do?
All right.
Nope.
Mr. Parker? Mr. Eglert?
I got nothing to add, Your Honor, unfortunately.
Nothing to add, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Next man or woman up? Who's next up? Who sits right next to him? They wanted to see.
Is the first alternate.
All right. So goes into the box, right, everyone? Just want to make
Yes, Your
sure.
Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I'm not sure I would necessarily move him into his chair, Your Honor, because that could alert the jury as to that the alternates are
Right.
in a row. I would just leave her in the chair she's in.
No objection.
Okay. Just want to get your insight from both sides on that. All right. Well, I mean, you can amend the list, yes, but that has nothing to do with seating.
No, they won't see the list.
No one see the list. All right. Interesting. Any other issues regarding the exhibits?
Your Honor, we'll have one for the second witness, but not the first one.
Okay. Just want to make sure that we do that before we get started, because we can't do that when the witness is on the stand. Let me see. Anything else? And so who's going to be the next witness?
Mr. Terry Bonnar.
Okay. All right. No, not with this witness. Yeah, I mean, so, Mr. Kemp, as far as the witness after this, will there be new exhibits or the same exhibits that have been
Different
identified?
exhibits, Your Honor, because our concern arises from the hospital records of the second witness.
Okay. And what do you mean by, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Have they been admitted?
No, Your Honor, we think the redaction should be a little more extensive than what defense thinks, and that's the only issue.
All right.
We've actually stipulated, Your Honor, to certain pages from that exhibit that the plaintiff previously provided, so I don't know that the nature of the exhibit. I would agree with Mr. Kemp. I think the dispute is limited to the redactions.
Okay. So what we'll do then, they'll be provisionally admitted pursuant to redactions that are done prior to formal admissions.
I don't have a problem with that, that they can't be shown to the jury.
That's what I mean, yeah.
I'm fine with that, Your Honor.
Yeah, we can clear up the redaction issue. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, so as long as we're not showing on the screen, we can grant the time.
Right. Later. All right. Anything else?
Okay.
From the defense, anything else?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, how shall I address juror number 7?
Juror number 7's not in the case any longer.
Yes,
They're
Your Honor, shall
gone.
I send him a text saying he's been released from jury duty?
Just send him a text if that's it, because he can't come back Monday.
Yes, Your Honor.
And does he know not to move the jurors around? Just-
Yeah, he listened, yeah.
I'll get the jury now.
And then I can stipulate to admit, exhibit 345, correct? Can you just do that now?
The 10 pages?
I'm sorry?
The 10-page exhibit?
Correct.
Yeah, we can stipulate to that.
Your Honor, you would move to admit exhibit 345, and it's been stipulated by defense counsel.
Okay, so
That's
stipulated?
And Tori, I have it's new 345, I have a paper copy for you. Do you want that actually? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Shall be admitted. You can approach me.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. And then Tori, if I can confirm, I believe that through the list that Mr. Pepperman went over.
I can't hear what
Oh,
you're saying.
sorry, I believe in the list that Mr. Pepperman read off yesterday, 341 was admitted
Yes.
and 1141.
Yes.
All right, perfect, just want to make sure. Thank you.
All rise for the jury. Please be seated. Thank you.
All right, do the parties stipulate to the presence of the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
We do, Your Honor.
Okay. It's my understanding plaintiffs will be calling their next witness, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Plaintiffs call Carrie Mono to the stand.
Do you do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? May I have you state and spell your name for the record?
Carrie, C-A-R-Y, Mom, M-A-N-O.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
Good morning, jury. You a little nervous this morning?
A little bit.
Speak up a little bit.
Oh,
I think.
a little, not too much.
All right, no worries. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the jury.
Hi, my name's Kerry Mono, father of 4, born and raised in LA. Been in Vegas about a little over 20 years now. But
And you said you had 4 children. How old are they and what are their names?
Kylie, 20, Kendall, 16, Tristan, 7, Dylan, 5.
So, what are some of the things that you like to do in your free time?
I love spending time with the kids. Sports, anything sports, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever we can do together as a family.
So, you said LA. So, what's your sports team?
Dodgers.
let's kind of get to the reason why we're here today. What got you interested in real water?
It was, for me, it was the healthiest, best water for you to drink at the time, I was told. We're really big on health and nutrition in our family, so that's one reason why I chose it.
And going to November of 2020, were you drinking real water at the time?
Yes.
And at what point did you start to not feel well?
Probably a week prior to going to the hospital.
And what were your symptoms? What were you feeling?
Very dizzy, kind of like a brain fog, and to that point where a couple times I felt, where the world's closing in on you, blacking out, and nausea.
And at one point, did it progress where you thought you needed to go to the hospital?
I was at a dinner for work, a work dinner, and I had to excuse myself right when the dinner started because at the time, I didn't know what happened. I thought I had food poisoning or something, but I thought I was going to pass out at the table and just excuse myself and rushed home.
And so when you got home, what happened next?
At home, I laid down, explained to Nicole I wasn't feeling good, thinking flushing myself out by drinking a lot of water was the thing to do, and just pretty much just felt nauseated.
And did Nicole send you to the emergency room?
And she did. She called my parents who live like about a mile away from us and insisted I go. I fought her every way of the way, but we ended up in the hospital.
And Shane, if I could have Exhibit 345, page 1, please. And so here it shows at the top of the page that you were admitted or that you attended the ER at on November 10th of 2020. Do you see that?
Yes.
And if we go down to the history of present illness, it says presents feeling ill with nausea and dry heaving for the past 3 days. An episode of diarrhea. His whole family is experiencing similar symptoms. Did your whole family drink real water?
Yes, we did.
And were you guys all sick at the same time?
To my knowledge, yes.
So, Shane, if we can go to the second page, please. So this is, again, the same admission date of the 10th. And did you have your blood drawn that day?
I can't remember, to be honest.
If this helps you, it's a blood test.
Okay.
If you can go down to the very bottom, it has your AST readings, and it's slightly elevated at 105. Do you see that there?
Yes.
So, were you admitted to the hospital that day?
First time, no.
And do you know why?
It was a peak of COVID. They tested me for COVID, sent me home with Zofran and said, "You're nauseated, go home and hopefully you feel better."
Okay. After you were discharged from that emergency room, how are you still feeling?
I'm exactly the same. Didn't know what it was. Still dizzy, nauseated, and the fear of blacking out. That's what I was experiencing.
And blacking out, is that what you were describing earlier?
Yeah, where I can feel everything just like slowly closing in.
Okay. During the same time, what did you notice as to how Nicole was feeling?
After the first time I came home?
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I was laying on the couch, couldn't get up, and she was helping me at the time with the children and whatever, attending to me being sick.
And was there a point when she started to not feel well as well?
Yes. I actually couldn't move off the couch, and I was holding the kids. They were babies at that time, and I needed her help. And so I was calling for her, and that's when I couldn't find her, went upstairs, and that's when I found her laid out on the floor, almost unresponsive.
And Shane, if you could pull up admitted exhibit 1141, please. I'm sorry, that's not that one. It's the video that was played in opening, please.
Nicole. Nicole. Nicole.
Stop!
Let's go. Come on, you gotta go to the hospital.
Stop! Is that your voice in the video?
Yes, it is.
And
Exhibit 1829 for the
thank,
record.
1829, thank you. And did you take this video?
Yes, I did.
Why?
I was completely freaked out, scared, did not know why she couldn't move, walk, and I was trying to get to my parents to get her to the hospital because I could not figure out why she was like that.
What was it like to see her like that?
Oh, it was scary. It was frightening, you know, and I had the two kids with me, and she never not responds. And for her not even to be able to move or get up, it just scared me. Scary.
And so you said you tried to get your parents to get her to the hospital? Is that what happened?
Correct.
Were you able to go with her?
No.
Why not?
I couldn't even stand. I just went back on the couch, and I believe when my dad stayed and my mom stayed and my dad took her to the hospital.
And at what point did you finally decide that you needed to go to the hospital as well?
I didn't know. I just woke up in the hospital after she went.
So someone had taken you to the hospital?
Yes.
Shane, if we could go back to exhibit 345, please, page 3. So the top, 345, page 3. All right, at the top here, it says that your admission date, okay, there it is, received date time was 11/14. Is that around the time that you recall going to the hospital?
Yes.
And if we can go to page 7, Shane. Do you recall the doctors and nurses taking blood from you?
To be honest with you, I don't remember a lot of it. It's too hazy.
And so we see here your, on the 14th, if you can scroll down to the bottom a little bit, your AST and ALT scores are down there. On the 14th, they were 1471 and your ALTs were 440. And then on the 15th, just a day later, they were 2,574. And then your ALTs were 794. Do you see that there?
Yes, I do.
And Shane, if we can go to page 6. It shows here your INR under coagulation. And it looks here your blood was tested a number of times as well. Do you see that?
Yes.
And it looks like your highest was on the 15th at 4.84. Do you see that there?
Yes.
While you were in the hospital, what did you understand of the situation?
I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was in only one day, to be honest with you, and no one actually knew what happened.
So, what were your symptoms that you were experiencing while you were in the hospital?
In the hospital, it was the same thing. I was dizzy, nauseated, the fear of blacking out. I thought I died, to be honest with you, and ended up calling my daughter.
What do you mean by that? You thought you died?
Because I didn't know what was going on, and everything kept coming in and out. And when I woke up, nobody was in the room, and it was quiet. And apparently, I found out later, I ended up calling my daughter, telling her, you know, I'm sorry, I died, take care of everybody. And, you know, what I'm told is I kind of traumatized her for life, but don't ever call me again if that happens.
And so your mind wasn't functioning the way it normally does at that time?
No.
So Shane, if we can go to page 4 of the same exhibit 345. It shows here your diagnosis was acute liver failure. Did the doctors ever talk to you about a need for a potential liver transplant?
I believe they did. And they said we finally got better for some odd reason, but they were scared that we needed one.
So
you had the diagnosis of acute liver failure, and then the doctors were talking about a transplant. What was going through your mind at that time?
I was freaked out, scared. I didn't know what happened, and we didn't know the reason why we were in the hospital, and I didn't even know Nicole was in the hospital at the same time.
So you guys were in the hospital at the exact same time?
Yes.
And Shane, if we can go to page 5, please. So it looks like you had an ultrasound taken at the hospital. Do you see that?
Yes.
And if we can go down to, there we go, the liver. So it shows that the liver is echogenic with hypoechoic areas near the portal hepatis, likely fatty liver, sparing near the porta hepatis. Do you see that there?
Yes.
So I know you just told us that this was the height of COVID, right? Were you allowed visitors while you were in the hospital?
I believe at the time it was one family member per household.
And
we
so
did
someone
it.
was able to visit you?
My mother and Nicole's aunties and uncles, they would just switch off taking.
And so you said that Nicole was in the hospital at the same time. Were you able to see her while you were in the hospital?
No.
Were you able to talk to her or understand what was going on with her?
No, not until the last day or last couple days, I believe. We were there.
Were you drinking real water while you were hospitalized?
No.
So did you start to feel better after a few days in the hospital?
Yes.
How long were you in the hospital?
I believe 4 days, 5 days.
5 days? Did you follow up with a gastroenterologist after that?
Immediately when we were released, yes.
And let's kind of fast forward a month. So that was the month of November. Let's go to December of 2020. Were you still drinking real water at that time?
Yes, I was.
And did there come a point where you needed to seek medical attention again?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, actually, when we got released going home, our appetites were kind of off a little bit. We tried thinking we can sweat it out by exercising, working, and we just thought, drinking water to flush your body would make you feel better or whatnot, and ended up with the same symptoms all over again.
So in December, you had the same symptoms. What were those?
Nausea, dizzy, exact same thing all over again. And Nicole insisted, to go get myself checked again.
So you went back to the hospital?
Yes, I did.
Shane, if we can have page 9, please. So it shows here that this was December 23rd of 2020, so right around Christmas.
Yes.
And if we go down to the history of present illness, it says that you had at least 3 days of nausea and that you felt the similar symptoms as prior being diagnosed with hepatitis. It says also your younger daughters were sick with the stomach bug during the same time, and that you had dark colored urine and that even liquids made your stomach upset and very nauseous. Do you see that there?
Yes.
Is that kind of what you were just talking to us about?
Yes.
And so it mentions your daughter and that your whole family were sick before. I think you said, did your whole family drink real water?
Yes, they did.
Shane, if I can have exhibit 341, please. Is this your family?
Yes.
Tell us who's in the picture, if you could.
At the very top is my 7-year-old Tristan, Nicole, Dylan, 5 years old, Kylie, and Kendall.
And what about the 2 dogs?
And the
there?
dogs, Roxy and Richie.
And all those people were drinking real water at the time?
Except for Richie, he's new to the family.
So you even fed real water to your pets?
Yes.
And all those people were sick during the same time you and Nicole were?
No, my daughters were with their mom, and when we were sick in the hospital, back and forth, and when they came over to visit us, they were vomiting. The dog was vomiting. We thought we cooked something bad for them at home. We really thought everyone had food poisoning at the time, and they went home. And Tristan was on drinking milk and juices by then. So he wasn't really drinking the water, and then Dylan was breastfed.
Okay. And so we had this episode in November and then again in December. What was it like having those same symptoms again, and your family too?
To be honest, it scared me. We didn't know what happened. We came home, threw everything out in our pantry, threw everything out in our fridge, restarted everything new. Didn't know what it was. Deep clean of the house, changed appliances, changed dishware. Since nobody had an answer for us, we didn't know what got us this sick, and just changed our whole life completely right after that.
So you completely reset your lives?
Completely reset our lives.
What was that like?
It was hard. It was scary. Nicole likes to read a lot of labels, what we eat, but we never thought now everything we drink, utensils for food, down to our clothes, anything, detergents, she's reading it to make sure there's nothing harmful for us, because we didn't know at the time what was going on.
What is it like when you get sick again, like to this day?
We're frightened. We made a pact that anytime we feel the slightest sickness or whatever, we get ourselves checked out right away. The fear of leaving the family behind was that was a tough part that we promised each other. No matter, you see on the back, no matter what we do, we'll always make sure we get checked.
And so we've heard a little bit about the experts in this case. To the extent that Dr. Hudson recommends future medical monitoring and liver scans, are you committed to seeking those?
Oh yes, now knowing.
And as far as Dr. Sands, he's the neuropsychologist. If he recommends future neuropsychological and cognitive monitoring and treatment, are you going to seek those treatments?
Yes.
And I know that this isn't an easy thing to talk about, but how has this affected you?
We're thankful. And you feel like you have a second chance in life. You want to do everything to its fullest. We are just, pretty much fearful of everything. Down to, I won't drink tap water from a restaurant. I would insist on a bottle coming out that I knew, and to have them open it at the table to drink it. We changed our complete lives to only organic foods. Kids won't even eat anything with red 40. I mean, my 5-year-old knows what that is now. And our complete lives have changed to trying to do the cleanest and healthiest things for us. So,
because of this whole experience?
Oh yeah.
And thank you, Carrie. I think those are going to be all the questions I have for you at this time.
Thank you.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Mana.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning. My name is Tyler Watson. I'm just going to ask you a few questions and follow up. To start out, I believe you started drinking real water in 2019, true? Approximately?
I think it was 2020. Well, we first had it in 2019, but home delivery 2020.
Okay. But your consumption began in 2019?
Off and on.
Okay. But then when you first noticed symptoms of illness, that would have been November of 2020, true?
Yeah, correct.
And those symptoms, you went over them on direct, but they were nausea, dizziness, headaches, and then the instance of unconsciousness that you experienced, true?
Yes.
Okay. And all these symptoms showed up for you at approximately the same time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there are no symptoms that you attribute to the consumption of real water that showed up before November of 2020. Is that fair?
Fair. Yes, fair.
All right, and we talked about your ER visits in November of 2020. Now, as it relates to that hospitalization that began on, I believe it was November 15th, you don't recall experiencing any pain while at the hospital, do you?
No, I don't remember. Maybe the last 2 days of the hospital. That was it.
Okay. But you didn't experience pain during that time?
No. discomfort.
Because you were in the hospital?
No, stomach pains. I had a lot of stomach pains that I can remember.
Okay.
Headaches.
Do you know that you've been asked that question before in connection to this litigation? Whether you experienced any pain at the hospital?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember a few months ago you sat for a deposition?
Yes,
Okay. And that would have been October 18th of 2024, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, so about 4 months before today?
Believe so.
Okay. And your attorney was present with you, representing you at that deposition?
Yes.
And there was a court reporter present?
Yes.
And you were sworn to tell the truth there, just like you were sworn to tell the truth here today?
Yes.
Okay. And court reporter put all of your questions and answers into a book, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you were afforded an opportunity to review that and change your answers if you thought necessary?
Yes.
You didn't make any changes to that depo transcript, though, did you?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I request that Mr. Mono's deposition be published.
All right, do we have it? Have you supplied me, sir? Okay, it's still published.
Appreciate it. May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Permission to approach the witness?
Yes, you may, sir.
Okay, go ahead and hand you your deposition transcript.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask you to go to page 47 of your deposition, beginning at line 25. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay. The question was, were you feeling any pain? Answer, no pain. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And this is in reference to your hospitalization that took place on November 15th through November 18th of 2020, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory?
A little bit.
Okay. That was your testimony 4 months ago, correct?
Correct.
All right. And during your hospital stay, you were diagnosed with acute liver failure, true?
True.
You were also diagnosed with non-viral hepatitis, correct?
I believe so in the medical records.
Okay. But those issues have since resolved, isn't that true?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Okay. In fact, you testified that you no longer have a diagnosis of non-viral hepatitis, correct?
That I'm aware of, yes.
Okay, great. And as far as you know, all of your current labs are normal, true?
As far as I know, yes.
All right. And your symptoms, they improved while you were in the hospital, correct?
They did, correct.
Okay. In fact, your nausea resolved in December of 2020. Did it not?
Before I went back or when I was released from the hospital?
Well, it's, why don't we go to page 33 of your deposition, beginning at line 19. Question. When you were released, did you continue to experience any nausea? Answer. Yes. Question. When did that symptom end? After the last time I went to the hospital or the emergency room. Question. When was that? Answer. I believe that was in December of 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the nausea went away in December of 2020?
Until the last time I had to go back to the hospital is when it came back.
And you went to the hospital in December of 2020, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So after that visit, the nausea resolved?
Oh, after the visit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
I thought you meant during. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. And to the extent I asked it inartfully, I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
The dizziness symptom that you experienced, that resolved in January of 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the headaches that you were experiencing, those also resolved in January of 2021, did they not?
Correct.
Okay. And no other episodes of unconsciousness other than before your hospital stay, true?
The last hospital stay, correct.
Okay. And there were no other symptoms other than the ones that we just discussed, correct?
Correct.
And after your hospital stay, the only other treatment that you received, the 3 visits to the hospital we've talked about, there was a one-time follow-up visit with a gastroenterologist, correct?
Yes.
All right, and that was in, you said either January or February of 2021.
Correct.
So that was 4 years ago. Okay. Any of the symptoms that you associate with real water haven't required you to go back to the hospital in the last 4 years, correct?
Correct.
Or seek other treatment from other medical providers? Great. So no relapse or flare-up since that time, true?
True.
Okay. Then I wanted to go over just a couple of the medical records that you were asked about on direct. If we could bring up 345, page 9, please. Okay, and just to refresh your memory, this is relating to the December 23rd, 2020 hospital visit that you had, but this wasn't an admission, correct? It was just a visit?
Yes.
Okay. And it says, again, under chief complaint, that you deny that you're under any pain, correct?
Yeah. At the time, I didn't even know I was there. My dad had to take me. I was just feeling so weird. If that's what I said it.
Okay, totally understand. But if you look at under chief complaint, is that page 9 that's brought up right now? I don't think we're on page 9. Robin?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's all right. Yeah, so there we go. Perfect, that's right. Under chief complaint, you see that where it says denies any pain?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what you reported to the medical personnel when you went to the hospital on December 23rd?
If that's what I said, yeah. I as of right now, I couldn't tell you the truth. We're so out of it.
Fair. So you'd agree the medical records probably recount what you reported to them more accurately than what you remember today, years later?
No, but if that's what I said.
Okay. And what you complained of was 3 days of nausea, correct?
Correct.
All right. At that time, you denied abdominal pain, vomiting, or diarrhea, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's under the history of present illness section.
Okay.
Okay. And at that time, you also reported that your younger daughters were both sick with a stomach bug, correct?
Reported of, I'm sorry, excuse me, a stomach bug. That's what we thought it was because we didn't know what was going on in the house.
Right.
Yes.
And did either of your daughters require any medical treatment as a result of that illness?
No.
Okay. It resolved on its own?
Well, they went home the next day, yeah.
Okay. Because it says that they experienced several days of nausea and vomiting that spontaneously resolved, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when you went to St. Rose, you requested for your liver enzymes to be checked, didn't you?
Did I guess so?
Which, I mean, given what you already experienced, is pretty
Yes.
reasonable, right?
Yes.
You knew you were undergoing some type of...
Well, that's how I was just released for, so everything,
Right.
we just wanted to check on everything since we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah,
Correct.
makes complete sense to me that you would ask for that. Then if we could switch over to page 10 of Exhibit 345, please. Now, these are the actual results from just the labs that were taken during your December 23rd, 2020 hospital visit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and if you look under the medical decision-making section on the 4th line, it says that you had a trivial elevation of the AST in total bilirubin. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And these results reassured you, correct?
Reassured me of.
Well, if you go down to the bottom half of that paragraph that we're looking at, it says he feels reassured with the liver function results.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then you were told that if any additional symptoms would develop, such as abdominal pain, fever, or vomiting, you should return to the hospital. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And based on your testimony here today, those events didn't occur. You didn't have to go back to the hospital after this?
No.
Okay, great. Then it says that you felt comfortable with that plan and you agreed to be discharged home.
Correct.
Okay. And as we sit here today, you don't have any current future treatment plans, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. And you're not on a transplant list for your liver, are you?
No.
Okay. Has any physician told you that you're going to need a liver transplant?
No, just when we're in the hospital, possible.
Right. And you're not currently taking any prescription medications, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. In fact, no one has told you that you will experience any long-term problems related to your consumption of real water. True?
False. No one can give me a direct answer.
Okay, let's go to page 49 of your deposition.
Oh, sorry.
Starting at line 23. Has anyone told you that you'd have any long-term problems related to real water consumption? Answer, no.
Judge, can we approach?
All right. And as you sit here today, you can perform all the same activities now that you were able to perform before you got sick, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you do not need any outside assistance to perform any of the tasks that you were able to perform before November of 2020?
Correct.
Your recreational activities haven't changed since before you got sick?
No.
Okay. And you haven't received any mental health treatment from the time you got sick to today, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So just to summarize, no relapse in symptoms since November of 2020. True? Or sorry, December of 2020.
December, correct.
Yeah, sorry for that. No liver transplant recommendation?
No.
Okay. No current treatment?
No.
No medications?
No medications.
No physical limitations?
No.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. This approach. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a couple questions for you, sir, before you step down.
Okay.
The first question is from juror number 4, Kenneth Dixon. And the question is as follows, quote, to clarify, you didn't have liver failure on 11/10/2020 when you went to the hospital, period, close quote.
Didn't know, actually. They just sent me home with Zofran because of the nausea. They didn't really check me. They just kind of pushed me through because it was COVID and I was busy.
Okay, I have another follow-up from Mr. Dixon. Quote, at any point when you were drinking real water, was there an odor of any kind or did it ever taste different or look unusual?
Yeah, at one point it did. The bottle looked like it had algae on the bottom of the 5-gallon home delivery ones. And we pulled it out right away, but that's all we remember.
Okay. And we have another question from juror number 6, Mr. McCaney. Did I get that right, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Quote, if there was no medication administered, what did the doctors advise you to do? Close quote.
They honestly didn't know what happened to us. They told us go home, eat clean, drink water, and be healthy. Don't touch, don't do anything bad. But they had no answer for me at the time.
Okay, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Did we get all questions from the jury? Just want to make sure. Okay. May step down, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, please will call their next witness, Nicole Chang.
Thank you, ma'am.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
May I have you state and spell your name for the record?
Nicole Chang, NicoleChang.
Thank you.
You may proceed, ma'am.
Morning, Nicole.
Good morning.
Good morning again,
Good morning.
How about you introduce yourself a little bit to the jury?
My name is Nicole Chang. I grew up in Apple Valley, Minnesota. I've lived here, back in Las Vegas for about 14 years now.
So how do you go from Apple Valley, Minnesota to Las Vegas?
I have a lot of relatives here. My father's from Hawaii, and they call Las Vegas the Ninth Island, so I have many relatives here. So I kind of happened here by chance.
And we just heard from Carrie. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for 10 years.
How did you guys meet?
We met at the Palms. We both worked there at the time. He was the general manager of Ghost Bar, and I bartend, so we just crossed paths, and the rest is history.
As they say.
As they say.
So my understanding is that there's 4 children altogether. What is your favorite thing to do?
The girls and I, we like to go we love to go eat Korean barbecue, just kind of any new food place that they find. We enjoy doing that together. The boys, we just got them into baseball, so it's kind of learning about baseball and getting into that and, doing stuff on our iPads. The boys love Roblox, so I've been trying to play with them. They're very good at it. It's a learning curve for me.
So I know you're a busy mom, but what are some of the things that you like to do for yourself?
So since our youngest just went to school, I've gotten into plants. I'm kind of like a plant mom now. It's kind of become my passion. I started, my sister-in-law, she gave me some cuttings, so that's kind of like, it's such a rewarding thing for me is to grow these plants from like little cuttings instead of getting a big plant. And it's so silly, but I'm a little obsessed with it. So.
Let's get to the reason why we're here today. Going back again to November of the 2020 time period, you were drinking real water at the time?
Yes.
And Carrie testified that how he was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
What did you notice from your perspective as to how he was doing?
Our illness kind of came on sudden, just out of nowhere. And he couldn't stay on his feet. He was kind of toppling over, and I was just encouraging him to lay down. And at the time, we had our 2 little boys at the house who just barely turned 1 and 3. So I just told him to take it easy. I would try and manage them as best as I could. But yeah, he couldn't stay on his feet, and he felt nauseous.
And what made you ultimately tell Carrie to go to the hospital?
He wasn't getting any better. He wasn't improving, and I think we were both battling, not feeling well. And at one point, it's kind of like one of us has to go and figure out. And we were nervous because it was the height of COVID, but I was in communication with his mom, and I needed her help to convince him to finally go.
And so you just sent Carrie to the ER and he came back, but how are you feeling during this time?
I remember feeling similar symptoms, very dizzy, very nauseous, and I was just trying to rest as well. And that whole weekend or leading into the week is kind of fuzzy for me. I don't remember much after he had gone to the hospital that first time.
So Shane, if we can pull up, it's been admitted exhibit 1830.
I have a straw in a wire. I have it there.
Okay, let's go downstairs and go to the hospital, okay? Okay? Alright. Alright. Nicole. Nicole. Nicole, we gotta go to the hospital, okay? I'm gonna get you more water, but you have to go to the hospital, okay? Do you wanna see your children? So let's go, come on.
Thanks, Shane. So you mentioned the bottle and wanting water. What were you drinking there?
We were drinking the water.
Real water? Is this kind of the exhaustion and the mental confusion you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think even at that time, I was really confused. I do remember feeling very exhausted, very tired, that I just wanted to lay down.
What is it like to look back at that video?
I'm sorry, I feel so silly. It's hard, like, I think I've only been able to watch that 1 or 2 times after it happened. And you feel like you kind of made peace with everything that's happened, and being here is just, it's a lot. It's a lot to see yourself like that and to hear your kids in the back.
What prompted you to finally go to the hospital?
I mean, I was forced to. I don't think I even had the really capacity to understand what was happening, and I don't even remember getting to the hospital. There's the first 3 or 4 days I was there, I have no recollection or memory of that at all.
And, Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
And so I'm handing you proposed exhibit 217.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what that is?
These are my medical records from when I was at the hospital.
Your Honor, we would move to admit exhibit 217.
No objection, Your Honor.
Shall be admitted.
And Shane, if you can go to the first page of that, please. And so it looks in the history, so this was 11/11. Is that the day after Kerry returned back from the hospital from his ER visit?
I believe so.
And if we go to the history of present illness, it says that she just mumbles, patient is awake but confused, she just mumbles incoherent words. Is that kind of how you were feeling? You were awake but couldn't really say anything?
I don't even remember this experience. I don't even remember being in the ER.
What is that like?
It's bizarre. It's bizarre to have 3 or 4 days that you just are just gone. They're just, I have no memory of them at all. So yeah, reading this is, I don't even remember it.
Is that hard?
Definitely. It's frightening, and you'd think maybe you'd get a little bit of that back, or some kind of flashback of something, and I have nothing. It's blank. I have nothing.
And tell the jury, what are some of the symptoms that you were experiencing in the hospital?
So I think when I like to say, like, when I was lucid again, or when I came to, I I thought everybody was trying to kill me in the hospital, which is ridiculous, I know, but I was hearing things, I was seeing things. I was just convinced that everybody in the hospital was trying to harm me. I would close my eyes, and the best way I could describe it was like I would have my eyes closed, but it's like it was a cartoon, just vibrant colors and actions, and it was strange. I didn't know what was happening, but I was hearing things and seeing things.
And that hasn't happened before? You drink your water?
No. I mean, it's stuff like you kind of see in shows, or especially like the cartoons. It was literally like a cartoon was playing in my mind when my eyes were closed. I was just trying to kind of drown it out, and even when I closed my eyes, it's like I had these images in my head.
And Shane, if we could put up page 2, please. So it shows here, we've got your blood results. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, we've got your AST, ALT, and ammonia levels. So here it looks like upon presentation, your ALTs were 336 and your ASTs were 2,843. And then your ammonia level was 135. Do you see that there?
Mm-hmm.
And Shane, at the top of the page, I believe we have the INR up there as well, in red, that says 5.69. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I know you said the first couple of days were blurry. After that, do you recall them constantly taking blood and running tests on you?
I mean, I woke up and I had things in my arms. I guess IVs, and I vaguely remember people coming and going. I'm assuming that's what they would have done when I was there.
So I know you talked about the first couple of days are blurry. What was it like when you finally felt like you had your memories coming back, or your presence of self coming back?
I think it was just, I didn't understand why I was there. It was I was just confused as why I was there. My relatives had come and go. I have a lot of aunties and uncles and cousins here, so they'd kind of fill in the gaps, and they were even unsure of why I was there either. We didn't know why we were in the hospital.
And Shane, if we can put up page 3, please. So here's one of the scans that we have from the hospital. Towards the bottom there, we've got, this is a severe fatty infiltration of the liver. There are some perfusional abnormalities. Do you see that there?
Mm-hmm.
And Shane, if we can go to page 11 as well. Under liver, it says left liver cyst measuring 9 by 8 by 7 millimeters. Otherwise, the liver is mildly coarsened. Do you see that there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
And so do you recall having scans taken at the hospital?
I don't. I remember having an MRI, but I don't recall this specific one.
Did anyone talk to you about your diagnoses or what had happened?
I'm sure they tried. From what I recall, I mean, I think it was just a lot of confusion surrounding how we were in this state. I don't specifically remember a diagnosis or things of that nature.
Shane, can we pull up page 4, please? So here we have severe sepsis, acute liver failure, and then scrolling down towards the bottom, coagulopathy and acute hepatic encephalopathy. Do you see that there?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So acute liver failure, what goes through your mind when you hear that?
Approach, Your Honor.
New an approach.
I don't mind her going through the medical records to the extent she knows, but she just testified that she doesn't recall specific diagnosis discussions. She's not a medical expert. and this court ruled with regards to Vanya Diaz that
But she wasn't being called upon to give a medical expert opinion.
she's now asking to provide her own.
Objection withdrawn.
All right. You can rephrase again.
Thank you. Diagnosis of acute liver failure. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it's never something that I really looked into, so I had no awareness of it. But yeah, I mean, knowing, of course, what we know now, it's scary. It's concerning.
Were you drinking real water while you were in the hospital?
No.
And at some point, did you start to feel a little bit better?
Well, yeah, definitely when it's kind of like you think to yourself, yeah, stop hearing the voices. But yeah, like when you stop hallucinating and seeing things and you kind of start getting a little more mental clarity. Yeah, I felt better. I mean, during that time, it's kind of like, I don't know what I was experiencing. I don't know what I was feeling because I just don't remember it. But I do remember at some point feeling not so kind of out of my mind or crazy.
Shane, can we put up page 4 again? I'm sorry. Under acute hepatic encephalopathy, we see here it says, if unable to take medication by mouth, will order NG nose tube insertion. Do you recall that?
I only recall that because I ended up pulling it out of my nose.
And tell me about that.
I think I recall I was by myself and I think I was playing with the tape on my face and I didn't know what it was, and then I started tugging on whatever was in my nose, and once I pulled it, I think I realized how far it was in my body, and it was like, well, I kind of committed to pulling this, and I ended up pulling the whole thing out, and I had blood coming out of my nose, and I think at that point a nurse came in kind of like...
Is this still during that period where you couldn't really orient yourself?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I don't think in my right mind I would have just pulled this tube out of my body.
And then, so we're talking about your liver enzymes going down. Shane, can you pull up page 9, please? So this shows from the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, as we see here. And we can see that on the 11th, your ASTs were 3,218. And then Shane, if we can go to page 8. On the 17th, your ASTs and ALTs were going a little bit down. Do you see that there?
Yes.
Is this when you started to finally feeling a little bit more like yourself?
Yeah. Yes.
And how long were you in the hospital?
From just when I looked at my medical records, I went in on the 11th and I was discharged. I remember because it was the day before my birthday, on the 18th of November.
Did you follow up with doctors after your hospitalization?
I believe we made appointments with the GI doctor that we saw in the hospital. And then after that, I began seeing a primary care internal medicine doctor. I've been seeing her since I got out, probably every 3 to 4 months.
And so, Shane, if we can pull up page 10, please. So this is just one of the medical records from one of those visits.
Mm-hmm.
And page 12, Shane. And sorry, was that a yes? Ms.
Yes,
Nicole?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
No worries. And then here's another one from, it looks like December 30th of 2021. Do you see that?
Uh-huh, yes.
And these are more follow-ups that you did?
Yes.
Did your symptoms entirely resolve after your hospitalization?
Yes, I would say they resolved as far as, relating to my acute liver failure. I mean, I still feel a bit of that brain fog, mental exhaustion, anxiety. That's a recent one for me in the last couple of years. I feel anxious. But yeah, as far as my medical visit, yes, I don't feel any of the symptoms that landed me in the hospital.
And you talked about the brain fog and anxiety. Did you have that before you drank real water?
I think on some level, yes. I've always been kind of an anxious person, and I feel like it's only gotten more intense the older I get after having children. After this medical crisis, I feel I'm very just heightened with any ache or pain that either myself or Carrie or my children. It's just, yeah, I get anxious often.
And so what goes through your mind? You talked about when you or Carrie get sick. What goes through your mind when either you or Carrie get sick?
I think it's not even a point of argument. It's just we told each other we were gonna, any little thing that we felt that we just go. It doesn't matter if it's big or small. So it's not like where we get stressed out about it. It's just whatever you're feeling, just go to the ER. We can always make more money. We can always, it's expensive to go, but it's not worth going through what we went through. Because it was a fight to get him to go. And, luckily he was sent home and he was able to find me and I was able to go. So yeah, it's just, we don't even debate it. It's just you go.
And to the extent that Dr. Hudson recommends the future medical monitoring and liver scans, are you committed to seeking that treatment?
Absolutely, yes.
And similar with Dr. Sands, if he recommends future neuropsychological monitoring and treatment, would you take those and recommendations? And
yes, absolutely.
And just one last question. How has this all affected you?
I think it's just made us, or me personally, and of course Carrie and I have had many conversations about it. It makes you kind of more aware of the products you consume or the things that you wear. I'm constantly reading labels on anything, so I don't want anything that's going to be toxic or harmful to us or our children.
And has that added to the anxiousness you talked about earlier?
You can imagine. You could assume, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Nicole.
Thank you.
That's what I have today.
Thank you.
All right, cross-examination.
Actually, Anna, I think looking at the time, I think this might be a good time for a morning break.
We'd be fine with that, Your Honor.
The jury.
And I take those head nods as an agreement that we are correct. Okay, remember, you admonish not to converse among yourselves or with anyone else in any subject matter of this trial, or to read, watch, or listen to your report, or have a commentary on the trial by any persons connected with this case, or by any medium of information, including trial limitations, newspaper, television, radio, social media. Remember that prohibition. Last but not least, do not form or express any opinion on any subject matter connected with this case until the cause is finally submitted to the state court case.
All rise to the jury.
All right, let's go ahead and set forth our appearances for the record.
Your Honor, Will Camp for punishment.
Teddy Parker, plaintiff, Your Honor.
Robert Egger, plaintiff, Your Honor.
Maggie Federico for plaintiffs. Brianna Switzer for plaintiffs.
Good morning, Your Honor. Michael Esposito, Bradley Johnson, Tyler Watson, and Eric Freeman for the real water defendants.
All right, I guess we're ready for cross. Oh, bring the jury in.
Yes, Your Honor. 1 second, Your Honor.
Is there something we need to address?
Just to clarify, we had originally addressed with the court that there was going to be a question about redaction of records for cross in this matter. That has since been resolved. I believe we have a stipulation to pre-admit Exhibit 216 is modified, which is about 8 pages.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
Court?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then was Exhibit 217, was that going to be a hard copy or is that the full electronic?
That will be the hard copy, Ms. Lynn.
Okay, do I have that?
I handed that to you, I think. Oh, maybe I handed it over to the witness. I apologize.
No, I got you. You're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Stipulate to the presence of the jury.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. You should have a copy. We put it on your desk. Sorry about that, Your Honor.
Oh, that's fine, sir. You may proceed.
Good morning, Ms. Chang.
Good morning.
My name is Mike Esposito. I'm one of the attorneys for Real Water. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'd like to start with some basic information. We're going to be going just off your deposition, just make sure that everything is still up to date. That's quite all right with you?
Okay, of course.
Okay. So my understanding is you started drinking Real Water in March or April of 2020, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. You were ordering 5-gallon jugs for home delivery?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe you've testified previously you were drinking in less than a gallon of water a day, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stopped drinking Real Water in December of 2020 or around January of 2021, is that correct?
Yes.
But you continue to drink it after your hospitalization?
Yes.
Okay. So it's fair to say that after your hospitalization, you had no idea that Real Water could be the cause of what was creating these symptoms?
That's correct.
Okay. And at first, I believe you testified that your symptoms started with a feeling of dizziness, a nauseous feeling, things like that.
Yes.
And progressively got a little bit worse until you ended up in the hospital, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you were in the hospital for about a week. And at the end of the time that you were discharged from the hospital, those symptoms had pretty much cleared up, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while you were in the hospital, we heard testimony that there was quite a bit of testing done, including blood work, correct?
Correct.
Okay, CT scans,
Yes.
other testing?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that testing, bless you, none of the doctors at the hospital came back to you and said that this is an issue with hydrazine, correct?
Correct.
And nobody told you that you needed to look into the food or drink that you were consuming?
Objection, Your Honor, your approach.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. And counsel, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Objection sustained, Your Honor. Sustained.
All right, moving along, Ms. Chang, just trying to get through your deposition testimony here. When you were in the hospital, did anyone recommend to you that you have a liver transplant?
I don't recall.
Okay, as a matter of fact, I believe you were actually told that you were not a candidate to go to the liver transplant center, is that correct?
I don't recall.
Okay. Let's go ahead and, Your Honor, this is going to be, let me pull it up. This is Plaintiff's Exhibit 217, which has been pre-admitted, Your Honor. And Ms. Chang, I believe you have that in front of you. I would direct your attention to page 6. Robin, if you can pull that up. And so if we go to the very bottom of the assessment plan, the last sentence, Ms. Chang, if you could please.
I don't have that page.
We'll pull it up on the screen for you, Ms. Chang. And so I'm going to go ahead and read this. Presently, she does not meet the King's College criteria for transfer to a transplant center. Would you agree with me that that evidence is that that they had examined you and determined that you did not qualify for that transfer?
Yeah, if that's what they wrote.
Okay.
Definitely.
Perfect. You can pull that down, Robin. Thank you. And after you discharged from the hospital, your confusion had gone away, correct? You were lucid?
Yes.
Okay. No nausea?
Not that I recall.
No vomiting?
No.
Okay. No loss of consciousness?
No.
No memory loss?
No.
Okay. Are you claiming that new symptoms arose as a result of drinking real water after you were discharged from the hospital?
I don't claim that it's because of the water. I think it's just, that's just where I'm at. I have this anxiety. I have this mental fog. It could potentially be, but I don't know that definitively.
Okay, and that's really the crux of my question is you're feeling more anxious, I think was your testimony, but you said you had some anxiety issues prior to real water, correct?
Mild, yes.
Okay. And otherwise, as you sit here today, you're effectively able to do everything that you were doing prior to drinking or prior to this incident with real water, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're still going to Korean barbecue?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever tried the 888 Korean barbecue?
I haven't. I've
Okay.
heard a lot about it.
Sorry.
I like to go to Master Kim's. It's right down the street. It's
Love it.
really, it's,
Okay.
It
And
always-
ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
very good.
sorry, but you don't normally get an opportunity like this, so I had to go with you, get your expert opinion.
yes.
All right. So, moving along, is there anything that you can think of as you sit here today that you can't do that you used to?
No. I think I'm physically able to do everything I was able to do before. I think it's just more of these, like I said, the cloudiness, the anxiousness.
Sure.
But yeah, physically, I don't feel restricted in any way.
And you're not seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist right now for this?
No, I've thought I needed that for quite some time though, but no, I haven't.
Okay. So suffice it to say that any issues with anxiety haven't interfered with your life enough that you felt compelled to go get professional help?
No, I did. My primary care physician that I see, she's prescribed me anxiety medicine. And she did give me a referral for a psychologist, but it wasn't covered by my insurance. So that is not something that I have looked into more.
Sure. And did you provide that referral to us in this case?
This was just recent in the last, I want to say in November, December, that I had asked my doctor for that.
Of course.
Right.
And so I believe your testimony was that you'd been going to an internist.
Yeah, she's an internal medicine.
Is that the internal medicine of Spring Valley facility? by
Correct.
chance?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall having blood work done on January 6th of 2021?
I don't recall the specific date, but I do quite frequently ask her to, anytime I go visit her, I ask her to do blood work for me just because of what's happened. And so we always check my blood work.
Okay, so you requested, it's not that some treating physician has told you to go get this blood work again?
Correct, yeah. I mean, it's just, that's kind of like our plan when we go in is we just check my levels before I see her.
Okay. And just so we can talk about that blood work, Your Honor, we have Exhibit 216 that has been previously admitted by stipulation. May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
Counsel?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chang. So, Ms. Chang, I'm going to direct your attention to page 80. Now, you're familiar with the dates labels on these documents?
On the bottom?
Yes.
Or the,
You'll see it says 0216-88 or 0080.
yeah, some of those numbers are a little cut off here.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can see them.
And I'm going to apologize in advance. It's the bane of attorneys everywhere that medical records, when they come in, are very hard to read. So we're going to work on them together.
Okay.
Now, at the top of this page, you're going to see a date in the sort of obscured area right below the name of the facility where it says February 3rd, 2021.
I'm sorry, which page is that?
Page 80? The first page.
80, the top page, okay.
Do you see the date, February 3rd, 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And this would be a follow-up visit. As it says here under HPI, the patient is here in interval follow-up, correct?
Correct.
Now, I'd like to direct you down about halfway, starting with the line, his last blood work. I'm assuming that was your last blood work?
Correct.
Okay. So it says, we'll amend it. Her last blood work was on January 6th. White count is normal.
And it goes on to say her kidney function is excellent with a creatine of 0.53. Liver enzymes are normal. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So this time was your internist telling you that your blood work was coming back pretty good?
Yes.
You were in good health?
Yes.
Okay. And this was, what, 2 months, 3 months after your hospitalization?
This was 3 months.
Sure.
3 months.
Yeah. Thank you for keeping me going. And then let's go to, sorry, next. Make this easier on myself. Page 87, second to last page, Ms. Chang. Now again, we're going to look at the dark spot up here where it says December 30th, 2021. Can you make that date out?
Yes.
Okay. Would I be correct in saying this is another interval follow-up?
Yes.
Okay. Now it says here the patient is here to discuss her lab results as well as her MRI. Do you see that?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Chang, I have no interest in getting into any medical condition that's unrelated to this case.
Sure.
As a perfunctory matter, but I do need to know, were you treating with this internist for things other than your concerns about any fallout from the real water incident?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be safe to say there were many different things that you were treating for over the course of this period of time that had nothing to do with real water.
Yes.
Okay. And so if we go down to the second paragraph in HPI, once again, kidney function is excellent. Do you see that?
Yep.
Liver enzymes are normal.
Yes.
And you are described as a very lovely 34-year-old female, well known to the doctor. And it looks like all of your test results have come back very good. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So as we're expanding the timeline here, we're now more than a couple of months out. We're more than a year out from when you were hospitalized. Is that correct?
Yes.
And safe to say your lab results are still great, if not getting even better, correct?
Objection form,
Your Honor, she's been testifying to her impression of the improvement. Thank you, Your Honor.
What was
So-
the question?
Yes, let me restate it. So we're now about a year out,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your test results are now as good or even getting better than they were in February of that year. Is that an accurate statement?
Relating to my liver function? Or just
Relating-
in general?
Well, let's start with in general.
I suppose so, yeah.
Okay.
If that's what she wrote down, if that's
Your
what
li-
my lab work was.
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
It's okay.
Your liver enzymes were normal though too?
Yes.
Okay. And so as you're seeing this internist, has your treating physician recommended any additional treatments as a result of the real water incident?
No.
Okay. So, I know it's stressful being up there, Ms. Chang. I'm doing my best to get you through this as fast as
appreciate
possible. Let's see. All right. So as you sit here today, you're still working?
Yes.
Okay. Your kids are fine, I hope?
Yes.
Okay. And I understand they're in school now?
Yes.
Okay. Your husband's working?
Yes.
We've heard from Mr. Mano. He's fine now?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall doing testing with a neuropsychologist named Stephan Sands?
Yes.
Okay. Did he talk to you about his ultimate findings?
I don't recall.
Have you
I
read-
don't recall.
I am notorious for interrupting. I apologize.
It's
Please
okay.
continue.
No, I know we met with him and we had a few tests done, and I can't recall if I got a call from him or not. I don't think I did.
Okay. Would you expect to have received a call from him if any of the testing had been worrisome or problematic?
I know that they were, I don't know if it was gonna be communicated to our lawyers or to us. I can't recall.
Well, and that makes sense because he's not a treating physician, right? He's a retained expert.
I believe so.
Okay. And so as you sit here today, you're not taking any medication specific to the real water incident, correct?
For real water?
Yes.
No.
Okay. You haven't had there was a lot of talk in opening about liver transplants. You haven't had a liver transplant, right?
No.
There's been no recommendation for a liver transplant?
No.
There's been no discussion about possible liver transplants in the future?
No.
Okay. From what I saw in your medical records, you're not going through any routine monitoring other than when you specifically request this blood work being done, correct?
I mean, I have monitoring for other issues that I've had over the years, but not specifically for what I was in the hospital for.
Of course. And that's why when we started this, I just wanted to be very clear that I'm not asking about your other conditions. I just want to make sure we're talking about real water here.
Sure, of course.
So again, no routine monitoring with regards to anything that you felt or that you went through with the real water incident, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're not actually claiming any psychological or emotional injury as a result of consuming real water, right?
No.
Okay. And as you sit here today, and this is my last question, Mrs. Chang, no treating physician, any of your treating physicians, has recommended any additional care as a result of you consuming real water, isn't that true?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so.
You think that's great news?
Of course, it'd be for anybody who went through what we did, yes.
I agree. Thank you very much for your time, Ms. Chang.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And any redirect, ma'am?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. Do we have jury questions?
Oh, we do? Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, for the record, we had a chance to review the one proposed question from one of the jurors, and I made a determination not to ask it. And understand, that doesn't mean it's a bad question. We talked about that, remember? I want you to keep your questions coming if you have a question. That's what I want you to do. Next, and this is what, and I want to make sure we're all on the same page on this because we have another, we have more testimony by video, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, it's approximately 50 minutes long,
50 minutes long. I'm thinking we can start it and we'll finish up and go to lunch. Does that make sense? Everybody on the same page?
Yes.
Okay. And before we do that,
4-0, Your Honor, 4-0.
4-0. So it's actually shorter. So that's even better. Here's my point, though. Does anybody need to run real quick to the restroom before we start? And I didn't think so because you just came up for break, but I just wanted to make sure. All right. And ma'am, you may step down.
Okay, thank you.
We would call Patricia Converse by video.
All right.
We've given a copy of the report. Sorry. She had her documents.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, all right. Can you state your name, please?
Tricia Converse.
And that's your full name?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me the extent of your educational background?
Through high school.
Here in Nevada?
No, it's Colorado.
Okay, so you graduated high school in Colorado?
Yes.
What's the name of the high school?
Boulder High.
And approximately what was that?
Graduated.
Right.
79.
Did you work at a job in Nevada?
I worked at a print shop for a little bit.
Okay. Doing what in general?
Sales.
And after the print shop, where did you work?
I was at 2015. That's when I went to Real Water.
Okay, well, if you came here in 2000, started at the print shop.
2001.
2001, and you went to Real Water in 2015. The print shop was the only job you had in that 14-year period? Okay. Okay, so before 2015, the only other job you had here in Nevada was in the print shop?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so the job in, Real Water job that was posted in Craigslist, was it for a specific position?
Yes, it was at the front desk. And from the front desk, I moved up within a month, I would say, to Director of Quality Control.
Okay, but the job that was being advertised in 2015 was to be?
At the front desk.
receptionist in the water.
Yes, correct.
And you felt like you had the training background to do that job?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been a receptionist before?
No, but definitely have a lot of people skills.
Okay. So prior to 2015, had you had any training with regards to how to make water, how to make food, anything of the sort?
They taught me. No, please.
We'll get into what they taught you. But
Oh,
prior
okay.
to 2015, no training whatsoever?
No.
Food processing?
No.
Water processing?
No.
Quality assurance?
No.
You know, nothing whatsoever?
Nothing.
Any chemistry classes?
No.
Any involvement with using testing equipment?
No.
Okay. Okay. So you went to Real Water and became a receptionist in 2015, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you remember the month? Approximately.
I want to say it was around May or June because it wasn't like extremely hot yet.
And would that have been a facility at on Desert Inn?
Yes.
Now, when you got hired, you said you were hired to be the receptionist, and then a month later you became the director of quality control. And I assume you've never been the director of quality control before.
No.
Who was the director of quality control at the time you were the receptionist?
There was nobody.
Okay, back when you were hired as a receptionist, was that an hourly position? You were paid hourly?
Yes.
And you remember what the hourly rate was?
No, I'm sorry.
And when you became the director of quality control, was that also an hourly position?
No, that was a salary. That was $800 a week.
Okay, and was that a raise over what you were making before?
Yes.
Okay. During what time period were you the director of quality control?
Well, I was there till, August of 17, I'm going to say. So
it would have been
almost 2 years, right?
Okay, so if you became a receptionist sometime
In 15.
in 2015.
Yeah.
And you became the director of quality control in May or June of 2015.
Yes.
So you were director of quality control for sometime between May and June of 2015 to August of 2017.
Correct.
Now, in the Desert Inn plan, during the time period that you were the director of quality assurance, was there a room where concentrate was administered into the real water?
Yes.
And what was that room called?
You know, I don't remember the name of it, but I do remember where it was located.
Okay, and can you tell me approximately how big that room was?
Sure. If you take from this end of that pillar all the way across, and it'd be this big.
Okay, so approximately 20 by 10 maybe?
That's about right.
All right. Now, in this, was this 20 by 10 concentrate room where access was restricted?
Yes.
Okay, and who was the access restricted to?
I had to go in there because of the electrical cords that needed to be fixed, and that's why I was to go in there and to make sure that everything was picked up and clean. But when Blaine went in there, nobody was allowed, he would lock it up, nobody's allowed in there.
Okay, that would be Blaine Jones?
Correct.
And he was the one that was mixing the concentrate?
Correct.
Okay. And I say concentrate, is that was the term that was used by the real water plant?
Yes, it is, sir.
Okay. And what did this stuff look like? What color was it?
I never saw it.
Okay, so you never saw the concentrate before it was added into the water?
No.
Okay. And do you know what the ingredients in the concentrate were?
No, sir.
At any time did you know the ingredients of the concentrate?
No.
Okay, so you as the director of quality control were never provided with a list of the materials that were used to make the concentrate?
No.
Do you know how they were making the concentrate?
No.
Okay. All you know is Blaine went into a room and the concentrate came out.
Correct. There were big tanks
basically they would make a tank full of concentrate, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and if I told you that these were titanium tubes used to make the concentrate, that would be news to you?
Yeah.
So as far as you know, you've never actually seen these things?
No.
Okay. And you were the director of quality control?
Absolutely.
Did you know prior to today that they were using titanium tubes as part of the manufacturing process?
I did not know that.
Okay, so today is the first day you're discovering this, correct?
Yes, sir. I've never seen these. Sorry, my glasses are dirty.
Now, directing your attention to the top left quadrant of the exhibit, you see that? You see how the tubes are arranged together and there's tubes coming out of the titanium tubes?
Yes.
Okay. And considering that you know how they made the water alkaline or non-alkaline? You know what process they used to, you don't know?
No.
Okay. And do you know whether or not they applied a positive electric charge to these tubes, exhibit 25?
No, sir.
Okay. And I referenced them as titanium tubes. You didn't even know they were tubes, much less that they were supposedly titanium.
No.
Right. Okay. So basically, whatever was done in the concentrate room, you weren't privy to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with regard to your job as the director of quality control, you could not do any quality control in the concentrate room because you didn't know what was going on in there.
Exactly.
And you would agree with me that if there was a water processing plant and you were the director of quality control and there were things going on in some room that you had no access to, you could ensure the total integrity of the system.
Correct. I do know now. Now that you say that, I know it, but I didn't have that kind of background.
Okay. You didn't have the training to recognize that at the time.
Correct.
Okay. Are you familiar with something known as HACCP?
No, sir.
Okay. And so if I told you HACCP meant hazards analysis control point, that would be news to you?
Yes.
You don't know how many steps, if any, there are in HACCP?
No, sir.
Okay. And you don't even know the first step, right?
No.
And do you know the four types of food and safety hazards under an HACCP analysis?
No, sir.
Do you know how many critical control points there are under an HACCP analysis?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now, if you take a look at Exhibit 18, that's the next in order there.
Okay.
This is an audit by a group called NSF International that claims to have visited the plant sometime in 2017. If you go to the very last page, you'll see your signature. Well, I should ask you, is that your signature on the very last page?
On the last page of this?
Mm-hmm.
No, sir. I don't sign like that.
It says audit contact and then there's a signature there. That's not your signature?
No.
Okay, let me make sure we look at this. It looks kind of like a PNC, but that's not you.
No, I could sign and show you my signature.
Well, we have others. Okay.
Okay.
So you did not sign this document?
That doesn't look like my signature, sir.
Okay.
I will recall signing it, but
Do you recall an entity, and they have to name the person here, Cheryl Bischoff, it's on the first page, Bischoff. Do you recall them coming in and doing an inspection or audit of the plant sometime on March 2nd, 2017?
you know, there was people that came in to see the plant. But I don't remember the names.
Okay. Maybe they were from Michigan, perhaps?
I don't remember, no.
Okay. And you've already said you were not allowed into the concentrate room?
Correct.
Now, directing your attention down to 2 on Exhibit 18. So, for the record, we're on page 3 of Exhibit 18, Section 3, which is labeled HACCP. Are you with me?
Page 18.
Right. No, it's Exhibit 18.
Got it?
Page 3. down in the middle, section number 2.
Got it.
Okay. Has the persons responsible for the HACCP program completed a formal HACCP training? Question. Answer, there is no current staff that has completed formal HACCP training.
Yeah.
And that's a true statement?
Yes.
Yes. You didn't have it?
No.
No one had it?
No.
Okay. In retrospect, that probably would have been a good thing to have.
I'm sure.
Would you say they were cheap?
Absolutely.
Okay, again, last page. That is not your signature, you're telling me.
That's not, looks like my signature, sir, but you know what? I can, like I said, I never put a line across the top like that, across the P. That's why. It's like, I don't do that.
An idea who signed this on your behalf?
I honestly, if you ask me, I think that somebody looked at my furniture, my signature, and probably tried to do it. It's my guess.
Okay.
And that P doesn't even look like a P. That looks like a D.
So in regards to this document, you have no memory of seeing this document that we have purchased due at 18?
No, sir.
On the top it says, do employees assigned to conduct the test demonstrate competency performing them? Answer, there are currently no written SOPs or training documents for how to perform various testing. Only required test parameters with frequencies are noted. Okay. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Okay, is that a true statement that there were no written standard operating procedures or training documents for how to perform various testing?
Correct.
Okay. Any changes made after this finding that you're aware of? Were you even made aware of this finding?
No.
No, you were not made aware of it.
No. I've never seen this.
Okay. Well, I'm correct, you were not made aware of these findings. Is that right?
That's right.
Did you notice anything unusual about any of the water that you drank?
Well, you couldn't.
Chemicals in it?
You couldn't drink it as soon as it got off the line. It had to sit for a while because you would get sick.
Okay, and when it came off the line, you couldn't drink it because why?
Because there was people that would get upset stomach and have little stools and would have to go to the bathroom, and they said it's because they drank the water right off the line. You're not supposed to drink it right off the line. You gotta let it sit for at least 24 hours.
Okay, and was there a procedure where you were supposed to let the water sit for 24 hours?
That's what they always said, do not drink it off the line.
Who's they?
Blaine told us that, Brent told us that, they all said don't drink it off. Frank even told me don't ever drink it off the line.
So was your understanding there was something in it that needed to
Sit for
mature,
Yeah.
sit,
Yeah.
process? You know what that is?
No.
Do you know what hydrazine is?
No, sir.
And do you know whether or not hydrazine causes liver damage if you ingest it?
I'm sure it does.
Really? Did you do any testing for the presence of hydrazine in the real water products?
No, sir.
The same question on concentrate. Did you do any testing of the concentrate?
No.
Okay. And we have in here testing by the FDA on real water concentrate, which let me show to you real quick. 28A.
Go to 28.
28A. There's actually two tests. There's 28A. There's 28 and there's 28A. You see these are results of FDA testing on real water concentrate samples. Okay, do you see on the first paragraph, when you're reading on, hydrazine was identified? See that statement?
Yes.
And then directing your attention to the next page, which is A. Down in the middle, you'll see the concentration of hydrazine was determined to be 1.33. See where my finger is? Do you know whether or not 1.33 is a dangerous concentration of hydrogen?
No, sir.
Okay. And you've never heard of hydrogen?
Right.
Okay, assuming for the sake of argument that the FDA did find hydrazine in the real water concentrate, do you have any idea where the hydrogen came from?
No, sir.
Okay. And if someone had informed you that there was hydrazine in the real water product, would you, as quality control director, have investigated that?
I would have asked about it.
Okay. And by the way, before I forget, you said that some people that were employed to drink real water off the line, they became sick.
Yes, like the guys that would work on the line, they drank it.
They became sick.
Yeah.
They didn't have liver damage that you were.
Nothing, I know, I'm sorry.
And did real water.
Can I add something into there? What bothered me, and when I became the director of quality control, I told the guys not to ever do that, is that they would give the water to the homeless people, and I said, you can't do that, because then they would get sick.
So
I put a stop to it,
they're giving water
off the line to the homeless
and
people.
homeless people become sick.
Well, I don't know, but I just know if they're not supposed to drink out of it, and they got sick, when they get sick, where are they gonna get help?
Now, the next document is this statement of procedure that's going to get on exhibit 5. That's the standard operating procedure for ingredients. See that?
Yes.
And the only ingredient referenced is potassium bicarbonate, USP grade. Is that correct?
Yeah,
What was potassium bicarbonate used for?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know whether it was added to the water, you don't
No.
know whether it was used to mix you have no idea.
No, sir.
So, the very first step, I think we've already established, was making the concentrate, right?
Yes,
And you weren't involved in that in any way, shape, or form.
exactly.
Okay? It says, under additional hazard measures, the second one, dash. Tests are done daily on our incoming water.
We would test it with the
The order.
correct.
What did water that you knew was 1 liter that was going to a warehouse, then to a store, did you treat that differently than the 5-gallon water?
No. Well, I wasn't there when they did the 5 gallons.
Now, was there a procedure whereby customers can make complaints?
I would handle the complaints.
First of all, I just want to talk about the procedure here. So if a customer complained, they were provided somehow or another a customer alert form, correct?
Yeah,
And then you did some sort, you being Real Water, did some sort of investigation report.
yeah, they would complain that the lids were, they weren't, you know how they have to click to make sure it's been sealed? I had one that they said they weren't, so then what I did is I went ahead and sent them some free cases.
Okay, but you recognize if they complain that there's outside substances in the water, like chemicals or
I never
oil.
had a complaint like that. At least I didn't handle that.
First of all, I assume all the customer alert forms were filed in one big place, right?
I would think so. I never saw them.
Okay, you're the director of quality assurance.
Right.
Who else would be responsible for that?
Well, they would have to go through their supervisor, which was, the salespeople would be with Amy. And then whether Amy would give them to me to take care of them, that was up to her. She was in charge of the salespeople.
So you didn't necessarily see any complaint?
Exactly, because they would go through the salespeople.
And you didn't review the complaints that were filed in the complaint book?
No.
Okay. All right, B, we have a complaint about, quote, this is dated October 21st, 2013, an oily red substance inside the bottle. You see that one?
You're on which page?
I'm on B,
Okay, sorry.
first full paragraph there, oily red substance.
I am on B. I don't see
Okay,
that.
right here,
Oh, I see it, sorry.
okay? So there were complaints you were aware of that they found oily substances in the bottles?
That was before my time.
Okay, but this was in the book that you could have reviewed if you wanted to.
I didn't see this.
I didn't ask you saw it. You couldn't
Oh,
see it
okay.
if you wanted to. Anybody could. All right, well, let's find it. We don't have to get stuck with one. Okay, C, April 2nd, 2013. Free-form resin or oil for the manufacturing process. And there's complaints about that. Were you aware that there were complaints that there was some kind of oil in the bottles for the manufacturing process?
No, sir.
At any time?
No, sir.
Okay. D, we have a May 6, 2014 complaint about, quote, a strong chemical smell in the bottle with a TDS reading of 26, unquote. Are you aware of this complaint?
No, sir.
So this is the first time you've heard that there was a strong chemical smell associated with real water bottles?
Yes, sir.
All right. E, this is February 21st, 2014. Customer said she found a gasoline-like substance. Okay, did I read that right?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't aware of this complaint either?
No, sir.
All right. 1, December 1st, 2016. This was the time period that you were the Director of Quality Control, right?
What are you on?
I,
Okay.
December 1st, 2016, you were Director of Quality Control?
Yes.
My pets and I have been getting diarrhea from your water. It never happened with the smaller bottles. It is giving me a burning, sour feeling in my gut, and it said diarrhea. Okay, is this a complaint you got?
Yes.
All right. And did you investigate this complaint?
I took it to blame and he just said to offer them free water.
Okay, so when you received written complaints about your water causing someone conditions such as diarrhea, the solution was to send them free water.
Correct.
Okay, the solution was not to investigate as to whether there's a potential problem with the water.
Correct.
Okay? And in retrospect, do you think that was a good quality control procedure?
No, sir.
Jay, we have a December 1st, 2016 complaint. Another upset stomach and gut complaint and diarrhea. And also dog problem, okay? Do you have any recollection of this complaint?
No, sir.
Do you know how this was resolved?
No, sir.
Okay, but there was no investigation done as to what was the potential cause of this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. We have December 5th, 2016, complaining about a difference in taste that's extremely noticeable. This complaint came in during the time you were quality control director.
Yes, but
You remember anything about this complaint?
I wrote a note. I heard that I emailed the. It came out of the Tennessee plant, so I emailed it to her. That's what it
Carla
was.
Del Rio?
No, she was the receptionist. Andrea at Real Water.
Where does it say Andrea?
At the top, I emailed,
Oh, so you informed her of this?
yeah, because they came out of that plant.
Okay. Have you ever been to a Real Water plant in Tennessee?
No, sir.
Did they also have production capabilities like you had in Vegas?
I have no idea.
You know if they made their own concentrate?
I don't know.
All right, M is February 6, 2016. Water smelled foul and tasted like chemicals. Okay? The time that this complaint came in, you were the Director of Quality Control, right?
Yes,
What was done to investigate this complaint?
I didn't get this.
You did not get this.
No, I don't remember seeing this.
Okay. All right. Flipping to the next page, where I see a number of emails with your name on them about this complaint.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection that you did get this?
Yeah,
And the solution was to offer Mr. Gelman more real water.
correct.
So rather than investigate the potential problem, you offered him more real water.
Correct. That's what I was told to do.
I'm not suggesting it wasn't. So Mr. Jones told you to do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and this is March 17, 2017, from someone named Susan Doran.
Okay.
And she complains, it's on the next page, quote, "My family, my pets, and my 87-year-old visiting parents and I have been getting diarrhea from your water. We were all fine until today when we switched from the regular brand to yours. She stopped buying in December after being sick. She wrote you didn't get a response. This is dated March 3rd, 2017. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's the time period you were the Director of Quality Control.
Sure.
Okay, how was this one resolved?
This is the same one here. I left her a message. I called and left a message. Again, sent an email, and I talked to her.
Let me ask you differently. Was there any investigation done on the manufacturing process as a result of this complaint?
No, sir.
Was there any investigation done on the manufacturing process at any time as a result of any kind of?
Absolutely not.
We have a thing dated March 6, 2017 under AO. Costco Business Center on MLK. Okay. Quote, "Water had bitter aftertaste for the case you purchased." Okay. Can we call this complaint?
Yeah, that's my handwriting, sir.
Where's your handwriting?
That there it says, "Will come in for 2 cases of water."
Okay, so again, the solution here was to give out more free water.
Correct.
Okay. No investigation done in the manufacturing process?
No, sir.
All right, on August 1st, 2017, quote, "Fishy smell and taste burned her throat." Okay? And were you still there? I think you were, right? You were still there.
This is about the time I left.
Did you call this complaint?
No, sir.
There were a lot of questions about the processes and standard operating procedures. Now, to be clear, you were there from 2015 to 2017, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am, sorry. At the Desert Inn facility.
Yes, sir.
It's okay. I've been called worse. So you're only able to testify as to what happened in 2015, 2016, and 2017 at Desert Inn.
Correct.
Okay. So in terms of what testing was done or what procedures were, all you know is when you were there, 2015 to 2017.
Yes.
Okay. So were you familiar with any of the standard operating procedures that were in place at the time?
Just what they told me, just what they showed me, and just what Blaine trained me to do.
Okay, then we'll talk about that. So what did they show you when you first got there? You said you only know what they showed you and what they, okay. But in terms of the standard operating procedures, I'll show you just in your binder right there, if you turn to tab 12, for example.
Got it?
There's a procedure called incoming water testing and treatment. Do you see that?
Yes.
And this states that it was issued on October 29th, 2014. Do you see that?
Yes.
So was this a standard operating procedure that was in place when you arrived at Real Water in 2015?
Yes, because obviously it started on 14, so.
Now, you said that you had some training when you became the Director of Quality Control, is that right?
Yes.
Can you describe that training?
Well, it was basically, they say you gotta read this book and follow that, and then how to do the testing, where it needed to be at, how often to do it, and to just make sure that they were more concerned about getting more trucks out per week to have production than they were about the testing. So like at every Monday meeting, their concern was not about the testing, I can guarantee you that, or where the levels were. It was how many trucks did Shani and I get out.
You started your answer by saying one of the things you did for training was read, you said the book. What book are you talking about?
They would have they have these books that they had all of these sheets.
So you're pointing to a standard operating procedure?
Correct.
So they were all together in one book?
Oh, no, they had like about 3 or 4 different books.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And those were provided to you?
Yes. And Blaine would update those.
To your knowledge, while you were there, was the testing on the incoming water and the outgoing water actually done at the beginning and end of every shift?
I would do it at the beginning in the morning, and then when the second shift manager would come in, then they would do it, and then before they would leave, they were supposed to do it.
If there were any deviations from what the water was supposed to read at, whether it be pH or the TDS, how were those addressed?
They would actually, at the end of their shift, take one of the bottles off the line, and they would write on the bottle itself where the levels were. That's how the shift managers would do it.
So there was a retained sample?
Yeah.
And that was every shift?
Yes.
Okay. And were those retained indefinitely?
I don't know how long they kept those in the warehouse.
Other than reading the book, what else did you do as part of your training?
I did a lot of what we needed to be as far as the cleaning room, how the products they use for cleaning, which is the ZAP products, how all the labels have to be on there, how a lot of the safety precautions so nobody would get hurt. That was a big thing.
Now that brings up something else. You recall looking through some of the customer complaints, and there were some that predated you that mentioned it seemed like there was dirt in the water.
Yes.
Okay. And you said that your impression was that that came from the bottle, the blow molder itself.
Correct.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Because they always had problems with that machine, always. And they always had things. And there was times where one of the managers would pick up the bottle and say, look, there's stuff in here. So I would say, just throw that out.
Okay, what kinds of problems?
Like, what do you mean, what kind of problems?
You said they always had problems with the machine.
Yeah, the bottle, it would either not make the bottle right, or it was destroying it, the cap part of it wasn't doing it right. So they were just having problems with the mold.
Okay. Specific to the couple of complaints about dirt, do you know how they determined
that it got in there?
That the dirt that was being reported was from the machine? Do you know how they determined that?
I did.
Okay, how did you determine that? What did you do to come to that conclusion?
Just because where they would make the bottles, it was not a clean area. There was just dirty, and there was papers everywhere all the time. It just wasn't a clean area.
Okay, so that was the basis for concluding that if there's dirt, that's likely where it came from. It came from the machine?
I think so.
Okay. Did you do any type of testing or anything?
They had guys that would work on the machines. Had nothing to do with them.
Okay. What kind of documents were created during the production process? Were there logs, for example?
What I came up with, because of the problems we were having with the bottles, is that whoever was making the bottles, so I knew to detect the problem when we were having it, was in each bag. They all would go into a huge bag. I created to where you put a label and you date it and mark it that you were the operator that made those bottles.
Okay, so, sorry, back up. You say you put the bottles into a bag. You mean unfilled bottles?
Correct.
Okay, and so there was an individual who was operating the blow molder?
Correct.
Okay, and he or she, after molding the bottles, would put them in a bag?
Yes. There was a cart that was with a liner bag, and then once that was filled, they'd close it up, and I told them from there forward, label it so that we can detect where we're having the problem, who's making the bottles and not paying attention.
Okay. when you say not paying attention, what do you think was happening?
The machine would be running and they go out in the back and smoke and do whatever they want. The machine would just be there and keeping an eye on it.
Okay. And what would happen as a result?
They would jam up and then you gotta watch those kind of machines because you don't know, one's gonna jam up and that plastic will go into another bottle and it just breaks down. Then we lose production time.
When you said you got customer complaints occasionally, they would come across your desk.
Yeah.
I noticed they were from various places in the country, all over. I saw one from Florida, I saw one from Oregon. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so your understanding at the time was that real water was shipped all over the country?
Yes. I actually think that they were actually, Amazon was actually, is how they were getting it, was through Amazon.
So was that being shipped directly to people?
Because we had some cases that we go to them.
I understand. Okay. Were there any, in terms of the production staff, the people actually making the bottles and making the water, were there any written training materials that you know of?
No. I would have to explain it to them because a lot of them didn't speak English.
So one of your jobs was essentially explaining the production process to
Well,
some of the people.
I speak fluent Spanish.
Is that it, Mr. Kemp?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that was actually quicker than I anticipated. All right, time for lunch, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
It is 12:15 now, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're admonished not to converse amongst yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected with this trial, or to read, watch, or listen to any report of or commentary on the trial by any persons connected with this case, or by any medium of information, including without limitations, newspaper, television, radio, social media. And I know you remember that prohibition. And last but not least, the former express any opinion on any subject matter connected with this trial until the cause is finally submitted to you. Remember, this is really important to follow the admonishment, and the law mandates that I read this every time we recess. So keep that in mind. And just as important, remember, you can't have it, if you have inadvertent contact with the lawyers or the team, they can't talk to you, or the parties. You understand that? Just want to go over that. And let's go ahead and, I say 1:20.
1:20, Your Honor. All rise for the court to adjourn. Carries clear, people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Enjoy lunch.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before the next witness, there's going to be some discussion, I anticipate, so.
Who's the next witness, Mr. Kim?
Senator Singh,
Okay.
and yeah, there's a plaintiff's filed a trial to return, so we need to address that.
Okay. All right.